Hey bros, welcome to Spatula Bros. I'm the chef and we're back for a little video news update today. Some news about Dragon Ball, Super Dragon Ball, Daima, all that, Dragon Ball, the franchise Dragon Ball. I feel like saying there's trouble at Dragon Ball right now. Yeah, I'm giving you some silly headlines. Torishima, remember, Torishima is kind of the historic editor of Dragon Ball from Toriyama's prime, who stayed for a very, very long time. Many even say that he's responsible for the other half, at least half of Dragon Ball's success back in the day. He's been back in business for a while now and he's firing shots. I want to tell you, I'm using that crappy journalistic expression, the guy, he clashes like no one else. We remember at Japan Expo last summer, he called out Toyotaro casually in front of everyone saying, well, your drawings are kind of crap. You lack aesthetics and layout sense. You're a nice guy, but that's basically what he said. And now he's still talking crap. On Capsule Corporation, we're going to read this article together and then we'll comment on it. It sounds like it's going to be a laugh, yeah, some gossip, some salt, yeah. So we're meeting up on this little site that I really like, Dragon Ball Z.com. So I had already seen the tweet in English that summed up some of the info that came out, but now it's in French, so we're going to read it together. Kazuhiko Torishima destroys the Dragon Ball store in Tokyo. Don't waste your money, and yes, a few weeks ago now, the Dragon Ball store, the first official Dragon Ball store, opened. Well, I had seen the pictures. Well, there you go. It didn't look great. Anyway, let's read the article together. A historic figure of Dragon Ball and former editor-in-chief of Weekly Shonen Jump, Kazuhiko Torishima. True to himself, he caused a bit of a stir this weekend during his appearance on the show Koso Oso. In a series of more or less scathing statements, he directly blamed the current management of Dragon Ball merchandise, accusing them of arrogance and incompetence without naming anyone. He clearly referred to Akio Yoku as a key Shueisha executive who has become a leading figure in managing the franchise. Dragon Ball. So, yes, let me remind you that Akio Yoku is the director of Capsule Corporation, which for a while was Dragon Ball Studio, and he was, if I'm not mistaken, and then he separated, moved a bit away from Shueisha to do his own thing, which led to Capsule Corporation. By the way, it's been a few years now that there's been a bit of a split in how the Dragon Ball license is handled. A split that Toriyama himself wasn't able to resolve. On one side were the Shueisha offices, and on the other, Toei Animation. What's it called? And Capsule Corporation on the other. Maybe it was even three sides. Maybe Toei, Shueisha, and Capsule Corporation. On the other hand, it's a mess. That's why we still haven't gotten a sequel. The adaptation of Dragon Ball Super, the manga, happened because of that. We heard, yes, a few months ago that the issue was settled and both parties had reached an agreement. Well, I don't know if that's still true. I don't even know if it was true in the first place. Let's get back to reading our article. This rant, but the artistic analysis and direct criticism is one of the harshest he's delivered in recent years, and yet the guy doesn't hold back at all. These clips are from Koso Koso's live stream. To understand the full context and support the creators, watch their original video. Well, I encourage you to check out the original video, but it's in Japanese. I tried to watch it, but I don't speak Japanese. Anyway. According to Torishima, someone who has never written a single page or even a single line of Dragon Ball is now giving orders, especially with an attitude he considers arrogant. Even without naming him, the target is obvious. It's Akio Yoku. Well, we can agree that Torishima is definitely not just some random bum. So, if the guy says that, it's because he probably knows what he's talking about, or maybe it's just a hater's tactic. Because now that Toriyama has passed away, maybe he's thinking there's some money to be made, I don't know. He says, hey, I'm going to go and trash them. I'm legit now. Maybe I'll run the business myself, not sure. Let's assume that he's acting in good faith and that he's sincere in his approach. If he says that, he knows what he's talking about. The thing is, the guy was the director of Shonen Jump, at the peak of Shonen Jump, if you will, and also at the peak of Dragon Ball at the same time. So, you see, he definitely has some background, as we say, legitimacy to speak, I think. Anyway, let's continue. For Torishima, this gap between authority and creative experience results in incoherent choices that conflict with Toriyama's graphic philosophy. So here, it's Torishima who's saying it. Sometimes it's me saying it, but I'm just kidding. I didn't understand anything. So here, it's Torishima who's saying it. What can we say? I've been saying this word for 10 years, word for word. That's what I've been saying for a decade. A visit to the Dragon Ball store that ends in chaos, that turns into chaos. To illustrate part of what they were saying, Torishima and Naskris talked about their visit to the brand new Dragon Ball store in Tokyo. Their verdict is final. Be careful, final. It's crap. Huh? Actually, it's worse than crap. That's Torishima who said that. I'm sorry, that's straight from the otaku boss. Yes, I identify with Torishima. What? There you go. Yeah, I could have added a yeah at the end. That was me. That's it. That's exactly what I've been saying from the start. But here, it's at the Dragon Ball store in Tokyo. When we saw the images, we thought, damn, what is that? It has no soul. It was obvious. According to them, the store looks like an old cheap furniture store put together in a hurry. Oh, he's going straight for the throat there. That's just slander. We're dealing with slander here. Punchline already. First thing, he says, come on, it's Art Deco. What is this crap of yours? You see? Anyway, back to the point. He uses cheap materials. Well, at the same time, he's not going to use gold either. You know, he's not going to use solid mahogany. It's still just to sell figurines. Let's not get carried away either. He doesn't have any real artistic direction. Yeah, here, you can see the picture. I'll make it bigger. You can see the picture. Here, you can see the picture. Well, if Goku isn't in front, you wouldn't know it's a Dragon Ball store. No, but you have to say it. He just put up orange walls and that's it. They didn't really bother. They could have made a big mural, something, you know, to give the place some character, but at least put some Dragon Balls in the decor. Well, no, just more crap, more crap. When you go to the Pokemon Center, the shop there, well, you see it's Pokemon. There's Pokemon everywhere. It's really decorated. There's a nice little diorama vibe. But here, there's nothing. There's nothing. It sucks. See, even when you go to a Harry Potter shop, you get the Harry Potter atmosphere, you know, but here there's no atmosphere. It's flat, here. Normally, when you visit a shop, a store of a brand or a franchise you like, you also come to take pictures, you know, but here, what are you going to take pictures of? Here, you stand next to the Goku figurine, and that's it. You walk around, that's all there is. At the Dragon Ball store, you could spend half an hour just looking around and taking pictures without buying anything, but here, there's really nothing to see. Just crap, honestly. If I get the chance, if it's still open by then, and I have the opportunity to go to Tokyo, I'll go check it out. We'll go see it in person. We're not going now because it's risky, but otherwise I would have gone. Anyway, as for Torishima, overall, oh yes, he has nothing and completely betrays the soul of Dragon Ball. For Torishima, the whole thing lacks coherence, taste, and respect for the work, for Goku's story. The shop's facade had worried fans, and now a Dragon Ball creator confirms their concerns. So do we have the image in question? Because I remember that image in question. And when we saw it, we talked about it with Darko. The drawing is terrible, and the shop will probably be bad too. I'll take a moment to find the Dragon Ball store image. There, I found it. So he's talking about this image here of Goku Blue. It was the first image we got to announce the opening of the Dragon Ball store. The pose isn't good. There you go. He says it himself in the article. Then he says it doesn't work. Why is the design technically wrong? Torishima's scathing demonstration doesn't criticize randomly. He explains precisely why his artistic choices are wrong. The orange background is a technical mistake. Le fond orange est une faute technique. Toriyama used orange because it contrasts perfectly with the white of the paper. Putting a character in orange clothes on an orange background makes them disappear. Well, what he's saying makes sense. The Kamehameha pose is wrong, as I said. He has 2 seconds. The illustration shows Goku standing straight, not grounded with no power from the hips. For Torishima, it shows the artist doesn't grasp the gestures Toriyama created. If you stand straight, you can't launch a Kamehameha. Which isn't wrong. So the guy is still very, very precise. It's not. You can see he's not just a hater, because he gives you an argument, and the argument makes sense. You see an exploitation of the fans. They're taking you for suckers. Thank you. But we knew it. Torishima went even further. The guy doesn't mince his words worse than me. The guy. He agrees. The difference is that when I say it, I get insulted. Just watch. Well, the guy, he's just like me. The guy, the editor of Dragon Ball Z-Com, he's like me. Every time he makes a criticism, he gets called a hater. There you go. Now it's the boss of the game saying it. There you go. We're together. He treats you like cash cows. He thinks you won't think and that you'll just buy anyway. See, how long have I been saying this? There are many of us saying it and we get ostracized. We get tomatoes thrown at us. Sir, even though we're right, that's it, we're together, Torishima. And honestly, can we really blame him when we see the reactions of Japanese fans to products like failed reproductions of Cells at 300,000 yen, 200 euros still? Yeah, it's a reproduction too, and they're just disgusting when you compare them to the original work. Yeah, so having a fake Cell, I really don't see the point of having a fake Cell. Torishima says if products are bad, it's because they still sell regardless. There you go, there you go, there you go, there you go, there you go. And how long have I been saying this? How long have I been saying it? Ah, he keeps messing things up because why do it right? It sells anyway, so why bother? You don't fix something that's not broken, right? Ah, it sells. Well, people buy them. Why? Should we make an effort? Here, take your crap. There you go. And when I say that, I'm called a hater. I'm jealous. Of what, really? But there you go. Torishima himself, he says it. He contributed to writing Dragon Ball, so he's even more justified in being pissed off. He sees this, but you guys are idiots, actually. Yeah? Come on. In other words, it's because there are suckers among Dragon Ball fans who are ready to buy any crap just because it has the label Dragon Ball. So he's calling on fans to react, not to buy, not to encourage mediocrity, to make it clear that Dragon Ball deserves better than this. But Torishima, come on, let's meet. Let's do a legendary podcast. Me on my channel, you can let loose. We'll find a guy who translates Japanese, don't worry. Don't worry. We need to do something. We can mobilize, we can make something happen. Nazchris, so I don't know who that is, Nazchris, but they'll tell us, Nazchris. A clear vision and a call for collective responsibility. Now they're using big words, but still, it's just a manga, calm down. Nazchris, producer and content creator, responded with moderation but firmness. She says the key message is his hope to see quality products return, like those under Torishima's supervision. That fans should refuse sloppy products, that a better future depends on a collective reaction. Buy what respects Toriyama, ignore the rest. That if tasteless people continue to supervise the franchise, improvement will be difficult. She also warns against misinterpretations coming from social networks. If Torishima's words are not understood correctly, there's a risk of drawing false conclusions. Well, right now we're in Neo mode from the Matrix. We're trying to do some damage control to avoid any blunders. Well, maybe that'll calm the Japanese since they're disciplined, but it's too late. The genie is out of the bottle. I can't unhear what I've heard. That's something I hope to hear one day from an official. He's no longer involved with Dragon Ball, but he was still a key part of its history. He's just expressing himself. He doesn't care now. He's old. His career is over. He's finished. I don't give a damn. I'm going to tell you, that's how it is. So there you have the influencer in the background. Well, she's trying to, no, but don't get me wrong. What he said, he clearly called for a boycott. That's what he said. He said, we need to boycott. He didn't say the word, but that's what it means. All the crappy stuff that's coming out, don't buy it. It's crap. That's what he said. How can you misinterpret that? You can't. That's it. Well, anyway, I trust the translation, obviously. But anyway, let's finish the article. The wish was shared by Nakatsuru as a supervisor and a return to artistic standards for Nakatsuru. He was the car designer. Car designer for DMS Broly, if I'm not mistaken. Another interesting point that comes out of this show is that Torishima and Nazchris would like to see Katsuyoshi Nakatsuru take on a supervisory role over the drawings again. The Dragon Ball super disaster will no doubt remain the most blatant symptom of the past few decades. So yes, Dragon Ball Super is still less bad than Daima though. Careful, yes, animation in Dragon Ball Super was mostly average with about 20 cool episodes and a few rare exceptions. Not crazy like back in the days of Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball Z, by the way, there's Dragon Ball. Llama, it was artistically very nice visually, but the rest was crap. Anyway, Torishima even explained how he worked back in the days of Dr. Slump, so the guy goes way back, right? He watched every episode, noted the most talented animators, contacted them personally, demanded that they be properly paid, and entrusted them with the illustrations to ensure flawless quality. If that's true, you must admit the guy was really mission-driven. He insisted, no, you're not doing a bad job, that's it. That's it. That makes sense. A meticulous craftsman driven by passion and respect for the original. What's next for the franchise? We knew there was a rights battle over Dragon Ball. After Akira Toriyama's death, as mentioned, the battle was already underway before he passed, but it really intensified afterward. What we heard this weekend is the best example of that in the past 2 years. Torishima's words sound like a warning. If Dragon Ball continues to be exploited without respect for Toriyama, the franchise will lose its soul. For me, that's already happened a bit. You know, we can bring it back to life. We're in Dragon Ball, the dead can come back, but still. But he also sends a message to the fans. You have power. Don't buy mediocre products. Support those that truly honor the work. A strong way to remind us that just because we criticize Dragon Ball doesn't mean we're bad fans. Thank you, uncle. I'll call you uncle. That's it. He's your uncle, Torishima. There you go. He says it. Just because we criticize Dragon Ball doesn't mean we're bad fans. He even says, he adds, what does he add? He adds quite the opposite. Quite the opposite. Would I dare go so far as to say that criticizing Dragon Ball isn't that it? As real fans, let's not argue over who qualifies as one. Fraud is still widespread. There, I said it. I'm not targeting anyone. Just look at me. No, I'm really not targeting anyone. I'm just joking. But there are some who will feel targeted. If you feel targeted, you're the problem, not me. Anyway, come on. It's also a clear message to those who insulted us in 2015. Yes, here. The author of the article also identifies with what Torishima said. We're together. Once again. When we said that the Dragon Ball Super anime was a disgrace to the franchise, I still remember that the two best arguments from those who disagreed with us were, you don't like Dragon Ball Super because your site is called Dragon Ball Z, or you criticize Dragon Ball Super. Out of pure nostalgia, that's who's in denial, who's stuck in nostalgia, that's it. Accusatory inversion, classic art, right? Well yes, no. Dragon Ball, beyond the marketing, is an artistic legacy that deserves high standards, respect, and authenticity. And all of that applies to Dragon Ball, but it also applies to Star Wars. Lord of the Rings. What else did they mess up? They messed up other franchises in recent years. Well, the Japanese have nothing to do with it this time. But yeah, just because you criticize the direction a universe you love is taking, doesn't mean you're not a real fan. Being a real fan doesn't mean swallowing everything, accepting everything, or sucking up. To be a bit vulgar. Everything they release, if it has Dragon Ball, I'll take it. Even if it stings and tastes bad, I'll still swallow it. Yeah, that's not what we're about, so what should we take away from all this? What's funny is, actually, we talked a bit about this with Torishima. We talked about it recently on the podcast with Orochi Hidai, a big TikToker, known for manga and especially Dragon Ball. The podcast will likely be released in a few days. It's just that actually we hope that Torishima will come back one way or another in charge. Or at least that he'll be able to appoint a really skilled guy to take over the whole mess. Because we can see it, it's going all over the place. We can see it's bad, we can see it's terrible. Just look at it. Daima, once again, Daima, you feel it, you watch the series all at once. Because that's what I did. I rewatched it recently to make a video about it. Well, I rewatched it. I didn't watch all the episodes either. But still, and you realize that actually between the beginning and the end, there's no direction at all. Actually, it goes in all directions. It doesn't even make any sense. The choices they make are just as they go along. They adjust things using algorithms without understanding, causing problems. The Dragon Ball store is pretty wild. Well, I don't know what it's like inside. You know, I saw a picture. Maybe I should check it out. There must be videos on YouTube where people go visit. That could maybe be another video, kind of reaction. You see, I don't know. You tell me, huh? But it's clear from the feedback we've gotten that it's really not great. That it lacks soul, and it's really instead of pleasing the fans, it's really the ultimate thing, like, go buy our crap, that's it. It's kind of a shame. Once again, I think to myself, just imagine if Dragon Ball were in good hands today. It would be so amazing. It would be so amazing. It has to be. Actually, at one point I thought so. We talk about it again in the podcast with Orochi Hida, but at one point I thought, okay, they're heading in the right direction. There's Dragon Ball Super Broly. The movie wasn't perfect. God knows it wasn't perfect, but it was clearly the right direction to take. They just randomly decided to go somewhere else. Like, poof, what's happening? Really? Give us a real Dragon Ball movie, a real Dragon Ball series, but like Demon Slayer, Solo Leveling, even One Piece. We don't hear about it anymore, I'm telling you, but I'm telling you. There you go. Call me Nakatsuru. No Torishima. We can do something. No, I'm the guy who's full of himself and thinks I can save Dragon Ball. That's it. and I'll see you very soon on Spatchel Bros for new videos. May passion guide you, and don't forget, Dragon Ball is life, and it can become life again. We believe in it, yes.